Did your mother ever encourage you to take 10 deep breaths when your emotions were getting the best of you? Your mom may not have known why, but we are going to find out how this important practice is and more. I am thrilled you have chosen to join me in learning more about being fearfully and wonderfully made and have taken the step of joining me for this free webinar. Do you believe that what the scripture says is true, that we are fearfully and wonderfully made? Do you believe that it's possible to improve your well-being? I am Catherine DeRose, your host and health minister, teaching on physiological nutrition, which has 8 self-healing requirements that produces natural healing. Our topic lineup today revolves around pure air. Air being nutritional, the power of oxygen, oxygen robbers, and conscious breathing, which includes a variety of breath or breathing types. We open up our session today reading our primary verse, "I will praise thee, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are thy works, and that my soul knoweth right well." Psalms 139, verse 14. Our bodies are such a wonderful demonstration of God's incomprehensible skill, power, and goodness. It really should inspire us with the deepest feelings of admiration and awe, and full cooperation in caring for them. The very fabric of your body is woven in the most amazing way. So where does nature's code, the Lord God's code, live? Well, it's within the body. Did you know our body is electrical, with impulses felt through our central nervous system? It is one of the first developed systems surrounded by and protected by the spine. Furthermore, if you really think about it, our body is electrical and is the highest of all technologies. Just think about that for a moment. Did you know that your body extracts energy from sources other than food? Let's start at the literal beginning by watching this short video. Jesus breathed into all mankind his physical breath of life, so that man, made of physical elements of the ground, could live. Let's take a look at this element slide. Taking a quick look at these 6 elements contain oxygen atoms, chemical elements which contribute to all life where energy flows. From the dust of the ground, we find that our bodies are a chemical factory. 99% of the following 6 elements of what you are made of in total mass is oxygen, 65% body mass. Carbon, 18.5% body mass. That builds your carbohydrates, fats, nucleic acids, and proteins. Hydrogen, 9.5% of body mass, is combined with oxygen that makes hydrogen peroxide. Nitrogen, at 3.2% body mass, is found in proteins and in the nucleic acids, the core of what make up our genetic code, DNA and RNA. The RNA is like a photocopy of the DNA and can replicate, and depending on what you input depends on how that RNA transforms. Calcium, 1.5% body mass. Essential for bones, protein regulation, and muscle contraction. Phosphorus, 1.1% of body mass. Found in adenosine triphosphate, or ATP, which is the primary energy carrier in living cells, such as muscle contraction, nerve impulses, chemical synthesis, as well as bone. The others that you see to the right in this image are still very important, but we will most likely touch on these in another episode. A key takeaway from this knowledge right here is that we are able to recharge our electrical bodies, and we can do so by being outside, touching the ground barefoot, or sitting under a tree. These are important practices to diffuse all the electrical interference around us in our homes and even outside. Inflammation in our bodies rears negative responses that cause discomfort. I'll share more about that at the end of this episode with tools that you can use. I would like to break in here real quick to share about a product that fits our topic today. Theon Global is a Christian company committed to using natural ingredients from the earth and has found a way for the body to actually absorb them. Theon Global focuses on the emphasis of absorption. This sets them apart from other products similar to this. Theon offers high-quality minerals of the earth through this little stick here, pouring it into your coffee or your warm beverage or even room temperature water. You can pour this supplement, humic and fulvic acids, into your beverage, and it renders minerals and vitamins and amino acids and powerful polyphenols. These polyphenols quench the free radicals, sort of like blocking the full chain of dominoes from falling over. It dilates your veins for good blood flow and minimizes the free radicals. It is an anti-inflammatory, which is tackling the number one culprit on chronic diseases. It is a cell regenerator, which creates an anti-aging effect as well as lifting energy. It is a regulator of hormones, and it chelates heavy metals out of the body. It is a win-win solution living in the toxic soup we live in every day: digestion, metabolism, and circulatory problems. It increases oxygen levels in your body up to 45%. And we know how important that oxygen is. We will learn more about the importance of increased oxygen levels through breath work a little later on. Using this link here, you can experience your own benefits from this product, from this if you were to choose to use it. And I hope that if you do choose, that you will be able to see benefits from it. Moving on to the most forgotten nutrient. Yes, oxygen is a forgotten nutritional component of our health, partly because it is so automatic. But if we think in the following terms, we begin to understand how much of the breath of life means for our health. Did you know that oxygen is nutritional? Taking a look at the definition of oxygen, we find that oxygen meets the standard dictionary definitions of a nutrient, such as a substance that provides nourishment for the maintenance of life and for growth. We know when God created man with the dust of the ground, and he breathed into man's nostrils the breath of life in Genesis 2 verse 7. Clean outside air is so important because it sustains life at the highest level of need. It is a basic ingredient necessary for whole body health. Air or oxygen, is 96% of our nutritional need. Breathing is our ultimate life source. Our brain requires 3 times the oxygen than any other organ, and it only takes minutes without oxygen for death to take place. When breathing right, and yes, there's a correct way to breathe this pure air, this oxygen actually enriches the blood transporting oxygen to enter the body's cells. Good oxygen supply improves the body's absorption of vitamins, minerals, amino acids, proteins, and other vital nutrients. In addition, it acts as a detoxifier in the blood and strengthens the immune system. Oxygen creates an energy efficiency your body needs, energizing us to fulfill all of its processes such as digestion, improving sleep, and even thinking. But we have a problem. We are experiencing too many health issues caused by a lack of sufficient oxygen. The effects on the body from the power of oxygen in the body, our cells have built-in batteries and are powered up with the power of oxygen that vitalizes and invigorates, soothes the nerves, moves lymph, and electrifies. We are electrical beings, but we can have robbers that unplug us from this power of energy or diffuse us from this energy. Every organ cell has numerous generators also. To produce energy in a cell, glucose generates the cell by entering the cell through insulin. This provides a 20-step anaerobic, that's without oxygen, pathway through the use of fermentation for 2 units of energy. This fermentation comes from foods like pasta, bread, cereal, pie, pizza, rice, potatoes, sugar, all carbohydrates. The cell converts these glucose products into pyruvate, which is a chemical form of glucose which enters the mitochondria, the powerhouse, the generator of the organ's cell. This goes through an 8-step pathway, producing 36 units of energy. This provides 20 units of energy by the use of oxygen through exercise, which is the most important way to get energy. We'll talk more about this exercise in another episode. As you can see, oxygen gives 18 times more units of energy than food. Haven't we all heard that you need food for energy? Well, that may be true, but food has a smaller influence than we think compared to oxygen in its use in our bodies for energy on a larger scale and in the bigger picture. When you lack oxygen, hypoxia is experienced in any one or more of these conditions. Post-traumatic syndrome, or other known as PTSD. This produces chronic fatigue syndrome, CFS, anxiety, depression, negative emotions, fatigue, lethargy, where you can't get out of bed, nausea, headaches. Some examples that create these factors are positive ions producing carbon dioxide, which isn't so positive. Where do you find them? Well, before the thunderstorm. Don't you hear people say they can feel the heaviness in the air? Some people can actually feel a storm coming. You may even feel some of the above symptoms. Another factor is the city. The city is a congested place where a lot of people are close together that are breathing out carbon dioxide meant for plants. There are also many smokers, which competes for that pure oxygen, affecting our red blood cells needs. Even secondhand smoke is detrimental, contributing to breathing carbon monoxide. You have cars giving off fumes, mold buildup, heaters, all of which rob pure air from the atmosphere. This image shows how oxygen is inhibited. You see how it tightly surrounds the cell, congesting it as well. if we live in tight quarters or inner city limits, how can we improve the air quality around us? Here are some mindful ways of cleaning up the air we breathe. Crack a window open. Have house plants which provide filtered oxygen. Get an air filtration system. Take a trip around outside of the city. Again, here is a cell that demonstrates how it is useful oxygen that freely shares its energy. Oxygen is dropped here and there and shares its energy source all over our body. In nature, we have a few examples of this amazing power. Negative ions, which is a positive thing, which is an interesting play on words, isn't it? Is electrically charged molecules that pass through the air that involve moisture, movement, and air, all producing energy. You have the thunderstorm, waterfalls, ocean waves, and pine forests. Just imagine the power that they exude. You can see and hear the power that comes from the thunderstorm, waterfalls, and ocean waves when you are around them. In the pine forest, you have tiny pine needles, so small and light they have the capacity to hold more moisture and move with the slightest of air movement, producing clean air. Perhaps this is why many people like the outdoors and being in nature. They feel recharged, re-energized. Here's another illustration of how our lungs could look, breathing with plants around, providing us with pure oxygen. When we are getting pure oxygen properly, our cells thank us. It takes 10 muscle groups to breathe right. Natural, normal breathing involves your diaphragm, a large muscle in your abdomen. When you breathe in, your belly should expand. When you breathe out, it should fall. This is known as diaphragmatic breathing, also called belly breathing, which places you in a rest and digest system to conserve energy to be used for bodily processes such as digestion. Did you know that breathing helped with digestion? The diaphragm is a pump that moves your internal organs, including your intestines. While you are filling your lungs with air, your belly is expanding, which looks like you're filling your belly with air, but you're not. Rather, you are slow breathing with the diaphragm's help, filling more of the lungs' capacity, which in turn flattens the diaphragm, placing the pressure on the internal organs underneath it and moving and stimulating them. You are, in essence, exercising your internal organs just by breathing the proper way. Here is a 7-minute video demonstrating how our lungs work. I am sure you have knowledge of some of the ways our lungs work, but I am also confident you will learn something new.
The respiratory system is made up of organs that help us breathe. Respiration is the term used to describe the exchange of oxygen from the environment for carbon dioxide from the body's cells. The process of breathing air into the lungs is called inhalation, and the process of breathing it out is called exhalation. The respiratory system consists of all the organs involved in breathing. These organs all have their own unique functions that enable us to breathe as we do on average 23,000 times a day. The respiratory system includes the nose and nasal cavity, which perform a number of important functions, such as providing us with a sense of smell, warming and moistening the air we breathe in, filtering out irritants such as dust, and assisting us in the development of sound. The throat, also known as the pharynx, is a tube that carries air from the nasal cavity through the voice box, otherwise known as the larynx, down into the windpipe or trachea. The windpipe then splits into 2 breathing tubes, which carry the air into the lungs. These breathing tubes are called the bronchi, which extend into the bronchioli. the breathing tubes branch out many times throughout the lungs until they eventually form tiny thin-walled air sacs or alveoli. The respiratory system does two very important things. It brings oxygen into our body, which we need for our cells to live and function properly. And secondly, it allows us to exhale carbon dioxide from our body. Carbon dioxide is the waste gas that is produced as a part of the body's energy-making process. As you watch the inhalation through the nose, throat, voice box, and into the breathing tubes, you will notice the lungs inflating. As we breathe in, muscles are working to inflate the lungs. The diaphragm, a large sheet of muscle which stretches across our chest under the rib cage, does most of the work during inhalation, causing the chest to expand as the lungs fill with air. The air travels down to the end of the breathing tubes, where it enters the tiny air sacs. The tiny air sacs are filled with oxygen from the air travelling down from the breathing tubes. Covering each tiny air sac is a whole network of tiny blood vessels called capillaries. Within the air sacs, the oxygen enters the bloodstream through a process called gas exchange. The tiny air sacs have extremely thin walls with a large surface area lined with fluid to enable gases to dissolve. The oxygen particles from the inhaled air pass through the walls of the tiny air sacs and surrounding capillaries and into the red blood cells inside. The oxygen particles are then carried in the blood by structures called arteries. The arteries carry oxygenated blood around the body to all your organs and tissues. This process is essential for our well-being. As the oxygen particles are diffused through the walls of the tiny air sacs into the bloodstream, carbon dioxide, a waste product of the body, is travelling in the opposite direction. The deoxygenated blood is carried in veins from the organs and tissues back to the lungs. Carbon dioxide is diffused from the blood through the capillaries and into the air within the tiny air sacs. Now that the air in the tiny air sac is saturated with carbon dioxide, the exhalation can now occur. Watch as the diaphragm relaxes and air is forced out of the lungs. The air travels back up the breathing tubes and is expired into the atmosphere. The lungs are a lot like balloons in that they require energy to expand, but no energy is needed to get air out. This makes exhaling an automatic response after inhalation. The respiratory system provides protection against foreign particles to prevent them entering the sensitive airways and causing disruptions to the gas exchange process. There are a number of protective mechanisms which the respiratory system has developed to safeguard itself. The nose filters the air we breathe in trapping dusts and other foreign particles. Mouth breathers will not have this filtering system, causing the lungs to be more exposed to foreign particles. If the dust does happen to get past the nose, the airways are lined with a sticky mucus which catches the foreign particles. Tiny hair-like structures line the airways to help move the mucus. The cough, which is a reaction to irritated airways, removes the sticky mucus from the airways. Mouth breathing has a number of impacts besides bypassing the filter system of the nasal cavity. Air inhaled through the mouth doesn't have the chance to get humidified in the nasal cavity, exposing your breathing tubes to harsh, dry and uncleansed air. Mouth breathing is also related to increased risk of infection, anxiety, stress, sleeping problems, and reduced immunity to infective bacteria or viruses. Breathing through your mouth can impact the body on a cellular level through oxygen and carbon dioxide deficiencies. Not being able to breathe through your nose can be caused by a number of different factors. If you are experiencing difficulties in breathing through your nose, speak to your GP about what could be causing your mouth breathing.
Many people are actually shallow breathers. Take a look at this image. It is obvious the shallow breather to the right does not use the full capacity of the lung as on the left. The average resting adult respirates or draws breath about 12 to 20 times per minute. That's up to 28,800 breaths per day. You should be in a relaxed state when breathing this way. Breathing this way also stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system, typical of the regenerating process, overseeing things like sleep, digesting food, heart rate, more oxygen to the brain, mood, and other organs, blood vessels, and glands. But we have a dilemma. Our dilemma, as we get older, we get out of the habit and forget how to breathe this way, and instead use our chest and shoulders, causing short and shallow breaths. This increases stress and anxiety, activating your fight or flight responses. Some conditions associated with shallow breathing, which is using only a quarter of your lung capacity, brings on through your fight or flight with anxiety. Your fight or flight system or response brings on anxiety, lingering fatigue, tense muscles, generates panic attacks, puts the body on emergency mode, a typical response to a stressful situation. It prompts insomnia and cardiovascular conditions. This creates an atmosphere that doesn't allow regeneration and healing. So let's talk about some different breathing types. Let's begin with simple deep breathing. Begin with just 5 minutes a day and increase your time as the exercise becomes easier and more comfortable. If 5 minutes feels too long, start with just 2 minutes. The quick, deep breathing, or 4-7-8 breathing technique, was developed by Dr. Andrew Weil. He refers to it as a natural tranquilizer for the nervous system. Conscious breathing takes various forms. Dr. Weil believes each variety can be a useful tool for achieving a desired mental or physical state. This 4-7-8 breathing technique is also referred to as the relaxing breath and aid to sleep. So you breathe in for 4 seconds, hold 7 seconds, and then breathe out 8 seconds. Let's practice this now by following this video presentation. Every time you slow your exhale down, the more calming your heart rate should become. The next is conscious breathing. This is being more aware of your body, your state of mind, and being in the present moment. This may help you navigate difficult thoughts and emotions and experiences, creating the space to respond with intention and objectivity. Practice conscious breathing as you feel the need. I would recommend, before you go from one thing to the next, take your conscious breathing. It doesn't take long. Do your 2-minute 4-4-8 breathing. You'll be amazed at how you're ready for that next task. You may need to take 10 purposeful deep breaths. Do you remember your mom ever encouraging you to take 10 deep breaths when you were overstimulated with emotion? We will practice this in a bit. Have you heard of the physiological sigh? You do it more than you know, unconsciously perhaps. The double breath of inhaling and exhaling actually has a benefit. It reduces stress and anxiety. Dr. Andrew Huberman stands tall as a distinguished figure. He is an American neuroscientist, professor, and podcaster, most known for his brain and vision research, as well as his famous podcast, The Huberman Lab. Here is Dr. Huberman to show you how and why it's a good practice.
Billions of people suffer from stress, and there are tools to combat stress that involve things like meditation, breath work, good nutrition, good social connections, and avoiding all bad things in life. And while those are powerful, the problem is they require that people step away from the stress-inducing activity. By contrast, my lab and other laboratories have been very interested in developing tools that allow us to push back on stress, in other words, feel more calm in real time, meaning without having to disengage from the stress-inducing activity. The best way that I am aware to do that is called the physiological sigh. A physiological sigh is a pattern of breathing that involves 2 inhales followed by an extended exhale. Physiological sighs were discovered in the 1930s as a pattern of breathing that people go into spontaneously when they are in claustrophobic environments or in deep sleep when there's a buildup of a gas called carbon dioxide in the bloodstream. Carbon dioxide triggers the impulse to breathe. There are neurons in the brain that know when carbon dioxide levels have gotten too high, and when the levels get too high, they trigger inhale and exhale, or double inhale and exhale. Now, you can do physiological sighs voluntarily anytime you're feeling too stressed and you want to feel more calm. You do it like this. So it's a double inhale, and typically the first inhale is longer than the second, but the second one is still important to do. And then a very long extended exhale. Typically both inhales are through the nose and the exhale is through the mouth. That's the most effective way to do the physiological sigh. However, if you can't breathe through your nose or your mouth for whatever reason, do it all through your mouth or all through your nose. The second inhale is really important because your lungs are not just 2 big bags of air. They're 2 big bags of air with lots of little sacs, millions of sacs. And if you were to lay out those sacs, their volume is as big as a tennis court. And that allows both the intake of more oxygen, but also the offload of carbon dioxide. So when you do the double inhale, it reinflates any of these little sacs that have collapsed. And in doing so, it allows you to offload more carbon dioxide. So if you're feeling stressed in any circumstance, inhale twice through the nose and then exhale long through the mouth. If you want, you can repeat it a second or even a third time, but typically just 1 or 2, maybe 3 physiological sighs are sufficient to bring your level of stress and alertness down very fast and allow you to feel more calm.
Let's move on to diaphragmatic breathing, which moves down and makes more room for your heart. Your heart senses that movement and speeds up. Your vagus nerve is the sensory nerve. When you breathe out, your diaphragm snuggles up to your heart and slows it down. So we're going to go through some breathing exercises now. We're going to practice breathing deeply. I would like to give you some breathing deeply instructions. Diaphragmatic breathing emphasizes the engagement of the diaphragm and minimizes the activation of the rib cage. This type of breathing facilitates greater respiratory efficiency. Breathing in slowly through your nose. Focus on keeping your chest still. You may notice that you feel lightheaded if you are not used to breathing so deeply, but that's okay. So let's practice. Put your hand on your stomach and put it on your chest and focus on keeping the chest still. Breathing through your nose, take a deep breath slowly. You should feel your stomach. As the diaphragm moves down, you should feel your stomach push out. Thoracic breathing emphasizes the expansion and contraction of the rib cage over the use of the diaphragm. This type of breathing spends more energy and is often related to intense physical activity and stress. By using it in combination, abdominal breathing, it helps the body obtain more oxygen. Let's practice. So, have your hands on your rib cage and through your nose, breathe in. Do you feel the expansion of your ribs? Clavicular breathing concentrates on the final stage of the thoracic breathing by drawing the shoulders and the collarbone upward to allow more air into the lungs. So when you do this, you feel your collarbone, breathe in through your nose, and you start with your belly. Take a deep breath through your nose. Did you notice how you felt your collarbone rise? And then you have your head breathing. Yes, that sounds funny, but if you concentrate, you should be able to feel your breath coming up through into your throat and the back of your throat. So let's try that. Hands on your stomach and chest. Breathe in slowly through your nose. Did you feel it? With these combined, the 10 deep breaths resets our nervous system from overstimulation, stress responses, from one activity to another. Let's practice all of these together now. Breathing slowly through the nose and exhaling through the mouth with the assistance of this video. I would like to introduce Wim Hof, who also is known as the Iceman. He is a very popular deep breathing instructor, and we will be joining him shortly. Deep breathing exercises improve inflammation and immune response, helps adjust to higher altitudes, improves athletic performance, offers control of the nervous system, helps the body reset, increases growth hormone levels, known as GHG, for adaptation to improve, and so much more. In a supplemental episode featuring Dr. Sten Ekberg, discover what truly happens in your body when you do the Wim Hof or the Iceman's breathing technique. Okay, let's begin one breathing deeply practice with Wim Hof.
Hi guys, welcome. This is a guided breathing session. Relax to the deepest. Lie down, sit down, whatever it takes. Relax. Are you ready? Here we go. Round number 1. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Just go with the flow of the breath. In, out. In, out. In, out. In, out. Into the belly, into the chest, and let go. Like a wave. Make it circular. Fully in and letting go. Just keep on going. No pause between inhalation and exhalation. Ten more. Fully in, let it go. Five more. Let's give it all we got. Last one. Fully in and let go. All right. 1 minute breath hold from now on. Be in this moment. Let the body do what the body is capable of doing. Be aware of your heartbeat. Slow it down and just be in this moment. Let that relaxation spread down to your toes, into your fingertips, to the base of your neck and head. You are almost there. Do you want to prolong your breath hold? Pause the video now and continue when you feel the urge to breathe. Okay, recovery breath in. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Take a deep breath in and hold for 15 seconds. Exhale in 3, 2, 1. Let it go. Round number.
10 deep breaths, as we've talked about before, resets our nervous system from overstimulation stress responses from one activity to another. Imagine what just relaxing and taking those 30 breaths in and exhaling does for your system. It infuses your body with that healing oxygen. So what is our takeaway today? Breathe deeply. Well, take that deep breath and congratulations. You've taken that first step, which is one step closer to a newer, healthier you. I'm so happy you joined me today and made that time to learn more about your marvelous body and how to improve your personal health and well-being through learning how to breathe to benefit your health. Here is your wellness principle. Ready? Shut your mouth and live. I would encourage you to find a notebook and take notes, especially writing down these wellness principles. They help you remember the concepts that we talk about in each episode. Next up, I will share about some helpful products for your consideration and a brief message asking for your feedback. Oh, and please don't forget the supplemental episodes from the experts. The infrared imaging of an inflammatory condition on the left and an anti-inflammatory condition on the right, to help your body deal with all of the helpful technologies we are surrounded by. There are some helpful tools that offer protection from the EMF radiation that comes from these devices. Here is the EMF link that will take you to these products and many others if you are interested in them. This link will take you to that red light box with all those wonderful benefits that it has to offer.
So if you've heard of red light or near-infrared light therapies designed to heal skin or improve skin quality or remove lesions or get rid of scars or unwanted pigmentation, that is not pseudoscience. That is not woo science. That is grounded in the very biology of how light interacts with mitochondria and reactive oxygen species.
Earlier, we touched on fulvic humic acid. With our soils being depleted of their nutrients, this fulvic humic acid helps replace those. It has trace minerals, electrolytes, fatty acids, silica, which boosts collagen synthesis, prebiotics, probiotics, and it is also a good chelator of metals that can be found in your body. Its benefits are for gut, skin, and brain. What can you expect? You will have time to digest all the episodes. Each topical episode will bring you a health professional sharing a unique perspective on each topic. Instagram posts will also be made, so please check those out at Les Catherine DeRose. Here is a lineup panel of extras from the experts that you will not want to miss. Dr. Sten Ekberg, neurologically based chiropractor. Gary Brecka, a human biologist. Dr. Bergman, a one-of-a-kind chiropractor, holistic doctor, and researcher. And Lodi Parup, a breathing expert. I hope you have enjoyed this episode and have gained some welcomed knowledge that is useful in your health journey. I invite you to continue on with me as we go through this vital information. I am positive that you will gain so much more knowledge that will be helpful in your health journey. I would like to close with this verse in Deuteronomy 30, verse 19. I have set before you life and death, blessing and cursing. Therefore choose life, that both thou and thy seed may live. Until next time, I hope you choose to live your best life now. Choose life and blessing today, and live life to the fullest and for His glory. I just wanted to pop in before we close out and say, did you enjoy today's episode? If you learned something new and were challenged positively, would you do me a favor and share that? If you are willing to share what type of breather you tend to be, whether shallow or deep, and if you tend to be a mouth or nose breather. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch, and see you next time.